is happening there. According to Jacoya, who just spoke a minute ago, he said that the KIM system, kits are working pretty well in Manyani, where he voted. And I think that's a good indication that so far nothing has failed, and we can be replicated to most parts of the country, because most of the reporters who are out there and even the leaders who voted have not raised any alarm on the failure on the system kits, and that is the way I think it's supposed to be until the close of business at 5 p.m. We said that you have got time. It's almost midday, and if you're still planning to go to the polling station 5 minutes past 5, utakona sumba watu wa IBC bure. There's no need. You have enough time. This thing has been prepared for the last 5 years. Yeah. Even the elderly are taken there on wheelchairs. What about you? You have to go out and vote. Split screen, Nyeri and Mombasa. Wananchi doing what they should do after every five years. All right. Nurdin, so this is it. What you heard from Jacoya, so far so good. The KIM system, the kits are working pretty well. Yeah. We've complained about IBC not doing this and that, but such kind of a statement is somehow a positive one.
Yeah, because I'm also getting some confirmation that where the kits have a problem, they're getting replaced, although albeit late, but they actually get to replace them. So that is also a good sign at the end of the day. You know, Waswahili wanasema mgala huwa lakini haki yake mpatie, because in as much as they're trying, also there are mishaps here and there, but we can see they're also trying. Yeah. All we want is that a seamless election, because you see, we're talking about the turnout is low. What those who haven't turned out to vote or plan not to turn out to vote need to realize that if we don't get that 50+1, we have to now plan for another election. That means whatever you had planned, or if you felt this political process was draining... And
that will have a ripple effect.
Exactly. If this was draining, now you have to contend with the campaigns again, then you have to contend with a new election. So what you have a duty to finish this thing today and sit back, await the declaration from Chebukati, await for declaration from the arrows for the other seats, so that life goes on. Because the more you postpone this, the more you put your life at...
You postpone other problems.
Exactly.
As well.
It's like moving the cancer from the left leg to the right leg. It doesn't solve it, you know. So just, if you're at home, you're watching us, and you had planned not to go and vote, just go vote. The election observer was there told us it's more or less 7 minutes.
Yeah. So
yes, I believe...
of Nyali. There you have it. That is Mombasa Moha. He was a colleague in the industry and decided to drop his pen and paper, notebook and camera and go for the legislative role, which he's done pretty well. So he's also taking part in that exercise. This is a point where everybody is going back to ground zero.
Yeah.
It's a point of going back to ground zero, starting all over fresh for the next 5 years. Wamboi, I don't know what's your thought on the kids. What Jacoya has said, that so far so good, it's running pretty well, and in places where there's a problem, there's that quick interjection, and IBC is moving, you know, with speed to, I mean, rectify the process.
Well, Victor, I think what we should be expecting, because all of us have a legitimate expectation, is that the IBC has been preparing for these elections for the past 5 years. So we expect that should be the order of business throughout the polling stations in this Republic of Kenya. So as far as Machakos is concerned, the particular polling station that Governor Waita makes mention of...
Just to cut short, and let's listen to what Honorable Kanini Kega is saying. So to Nyeri.
To vote, then definitely you vote for the person you didn't want to vote for. So I beseech the voters in all parts of the country, because I think this is a trend that we have seen literally and especially in Central, where the voter turnout today is a bit low. Maybe it could be attributed to the weather. In some parts it's a bit cold, and it is also still early, so we still have more hours at up to 5. But the percentage is not very promising. And that's the reason we beseech our voters to come out in their numbers to make sure that they do their civic life or their civic duty. Secondly, it's also very, very important to inform the voters that when you are going for a transition, it is very, very important for you to participate in that transition, because we will be going for a transition. We will be having a new president by the end of today or maybe by tomorrow. So you can imagine how you will feel if your favorite candidate does not win by +1. And that is the reason one vote is so critical. The presidential vote is so critical because that one vote can make that determination. The same vote, even for a member of parliament. We have been in parliament and I have seen members of parliament who have won, with a single vote, an extra single vote. So basically that one tells you that if you don't do that civic duty, then definitely you'll be doing a disservice to yourself. We will try as much as possible, and especially for us who are aspirants, where you can beseech people, whichever means that you can use to make sure that people come and vote, which are lawful, because basically the laws or the channels that you are using must be lawful. It cannot be in terms of inducement and all that, because it is your right to go and vote. However, you also have a right, if you feel that you don't also want to vote, of course, that's also your civic duty. So I am happy with the campaigns that we have had. I am very impressed because we have not had major incidences. One in the constituency, in the county, we have not had major incidents. It's only that, the smear campaigns, the propaganda, the lies and all that, which I think sometimes they go with politics. But we have had very peaceful campaign period. We have not had, like in the past where you would have people fighting and all that. So I believe that the democracy of our country is growing every day, and that is something that we need to encourage. The challenge to IBC, there is no way you can import ballot boxes or ballot papers from whichever country. You have a department of quality control. And when you are opening the boxes, the material day, that's the time you realize that there are some gubernatorial papers that are not there, some members of parliament positions that are not there. Honestly, that one, IBC, you have to carry that burden, because an election delayed for a day can have different results. So, if, for example...
Kieni, Member of Parliament, Kanini Kega, making his remarks there after voting. There's something he's talked about, the low voter turnout, and he's attributing that to perhaps the weather condition there in that central part of Kenya. But before we continue the discussion, let's cross over to Kisii County and listen to Simba Arati. Oops, it's like we've missed him. Kidogo too. All right, so that's how it is. That is Simba Arati, who is vying for the gubernatorial seat in Kisii County. He's just finished his address there to the media. You were still on the floor, Shadrach, but as you continue that your submission, let me put it that way, also talk to this issue. Honorable Kanini Kega has talked about the low voter turnout, and it's a threat. It's something that we also discussed in the morning, even in Kisumu. When you look at the lines, people are taking advantage either because it's too early, some went for their businesses, and as Kanini Kega said, some could be because of the weather. What do you think?
Well, Victor, if you read keenly the spirit of the speech that has been made by Mheshimiwa Kanini Kega, is that at some point he attributes the low voter turnout to the cancellation of the elections, the gubernatorial election in Kakamega and probably Mombasa and some other 2 or 3 constituencies that the IBC mentioned yesterday. But one thing that the Kenyan citizen must understand is that the IBC has the power, has that discretional power under Section 55B of the Elections Act to postpone elections. Number one, if they are natural disasters or for any other informed or reasonable reason. So that a perspective, if you focus on the issue about these ballot papers, I mean, there is a recognition that is made by the IEBC that the ballot papers, especially in Kakamega and those of Mombasa, they have different pictures of different individuals, names, there are errors. So I think it is just good for the IEBC. It makes good sense for the IEBC to resort to the postponement or the invocation of their power under Section 55 of the Elections Act to postpone those elections, because you do not want a situation where you will be going to court saying that, you see, I was a candidate, I am not in the ballot paper. Remember, the Mombasa gubernatorial elections or nomination processes in Mombasa and those in Kakamega have been a subject of court discussions. You remember Honorable Sonko, who was at one point to be included in the voter in the ballot paper, at another point to be removed. Just yesterday, a ruling was delivered by the Supreme Court of this country, throwing out his application seeking a review of the judgment that they had delivered on the 15th day of July that affirmed the impeachment that was done by the County Assembly of Nairobi and affirmed by the Senate. So really, the confusion is quite understandable. And again, if you rush to Kakamega, probably your neighboring county in, Victor Olo, on the other side of the studio. So you will establish that there was also some concerns about the academic credibility of Mheshimiwa Cleophas Malala. So that at some point, one was undecided whether these people's names or images are going to find themselves in the ballot paper. So really, the confusion that we have seen, because it's quite apparent, is quite understandable from the IEBC. And this must explain also, and now going back to the question you asked, or on the question of voter, the low voter turnout. Remember, the voter turnout is a question of mobilization. It's how many people are you going to mobilize? The presidential candidate becomes a beneficiary of the mobilization by the people in the grassroots. There are people who are going to vote in, or who would have voted in, let's say, for example, Omar Hassan or Sonko, if they were in the ballot paper, and the presidential candidate in that coalition will have benefited from that mobilization. And the reverse is also true. There are people who are keen only on voting for the president. So they are going to vote for Raila Amolo Odinga. And people who are in that political outfit or that coalition are going to benefit from that. So when I am not, my election is not going to be held today if I'm a gubernatorial contestant, then it means I'm not going to rally my people. So if I'm not going to rally my people, then it automatically translates that the presidential candidate is not going to have a lot of supporters. So really, this must explain why the voter turnout, other than those, the cold weather. But if the cold weather is anything to go by, I'm hoping that we will be having the sun out by the midday. So that some of these people who are complaining of the cold weather, and they have been all, people from the central the Mount Kenya region have been encouraged.
All right. Well, let's hope the sun will be out and in good time. Professor George Oluchiri wa Jacoya is speaking right about now. Let's listen to him.
Koyonzo, I'm told, is on fire. I've just asked those people to cool down. I've been around most of the polling stations and I've told them to cool down. But I'm very disappointed because if they wanted, the opinion polls have been saying 2%. Maybe they meant it. Because why in my stronghold? I have not voted. Please switch off that phone, and if it rings again, I'll send you away. This is very important because I'm addressing members of the fourth estate. Then why should we vote for presidential elections if I'm the only one who has not voted? I'm told Raila has voted, right? Maure has voted. I've just spoken to him to congratulate him. Ruto has voted. Jacoya has not voted. Why? Is that really something that somebody has to question? Why Kakamega County? Why Matungu Sub-County? Why? Why are these people afraid of? Why couldn't they test the kits? Why couldn't they test the kits? Does it mean if I don't vote, votes will be counted? Or do they want us to go to court? Go ahead, journalists. I'm not really happy, but what can I say? I was supposed to fly back this afternoon. I have to buy another ticket. And you know, from here to Kisumu is very far. So,
have you perhaps been in touch with the IEBC officials, and what are they telling you?
I don't need to. Because they were there when you guys were there, telling me, oh, you're supposed to be here, like it's not working. Then I'm asking them, what do we do? At all, you have to wait. My people are defranchised. The older generation have gone home. So who will come and vote if they make them? Why rig me out of this election? If the opinion...
All right, the concerns of Professor George Oluchiri wa Jacoya. He claims he's yet to vote, and actually it's true he's yet to vote because there was a problem with the KIMS kit at his polling station in Matungu constituency. Let's head over to Johnson Sakaja, who's voting at St. George's Primary School here in Nairobi. He is a UDA gubernatorial candidate, and he's there being identified, obviously ready to vote. But quite some concerns raised there by Professor George Wajakoya. There you go, pictures live from the St. George's Primary School. But those are concerns expressed by Professor George Wajakoya as regards the failure of the KIMS kit. Let's go back to Wajakoya.
Shall prosper. That's the ground that we stand on. So you all remain vigilant, remain cool, remain calm, and we'll see this thing to the end. So, thank you.
What's your name? Another attempt to just try the KIMS kit. Then I have no mechanical engineering in my head. I've never done mechanics. So even if I go there, I mean, how do I answer that question? You said another attempt. How? I'm not an engineer. If they tell me they're not working, that means they're not working. Why would I go to do another attempt if they're not working? Unless I'm the most foolish lawyer in the world.
In terms of the voters you have lost, could you give an estimate? Those ones who came and
I have voted millions. I've lost millions of votes. You know, this is the strongest. The Kakamega County has the second largest number of voters in the country. And if you go everywhere I've been in the morning, especially in Muira, in Matungu Division, I've been to Bungoma this morning, everybody's yelling me. Sorry about if I answered you wrongly. I do apologize because I didn't get it right. You are right. But if I lose in my strongholds, what happens?
What is the next course of action for Professor Jacoya? Because now failing to vote is a very unfortunate thing.
Well, let Kenyans decide and say this will be the first elections where a presidential candidate has not voted because the government has rigged him out.
Maybe, Prof, you're a lawyer of high standing, and we understand that just the other day, the court ruled that the manual voter register should actually be a complementary one. Why, maybe, what do you make of it that IEBC has not provided that as a complementary?
That's why you see me saying that I'm going to do away with some parts of the Constitution. Now you see the answers. This Constitution is vague, the lawyers are vague, the judges are vague, and had I been given an opportunity, those are areas of the Constitution that you're going to look into. Because what is the alternative?